I'm Dr. Paul. Wait, I'm Superman. And
That's not how that works.
this is my sidekick, Beppo the Super Monkey.
Damn it. Who are you?
I'm Dr. Paul.
I am Diet Dr. Paul.
And together we are Rotten Potatoes, father, son, boomer, millennial, coming at you talking about movies every single week. Comic book movies, horror movies, more than that, model kits, travel, faith, anything that fathers and sons talk about. And it is way past my bedtime.
It is past your bedtime.
And
It
why is that?
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because we went and saw the one night only early showing of Superman.
Somebody took out like a car loan, to pay for his father to get tickets to this. I mean, it was IMAX 2D.
It was a nice theater too. It was a very nice theater.
Sound so loud you could taste it.
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah. So this is a hot take. If you're new to our station, we normally talk about what's the good, what's the bad, and what's our overall score on this. And so we wanted to get out front on this quick.
Yes, because we literally just got out of theaters and it is Tuesday.
Does anybody out there even need to get a synopsis of the film?
That's what I was thinking. Like when you do a synopsis, but people know what Superman is, so how much do you want to tell them? I think the best way to tell them is like maybe put them in the seat of where this movie takes place, and that is not at the origins of Superman, which is 3 years after he's declared himself to the world to be the savior of humanity, and now the movie picks up after he gets his butt kicked for the first time.
And it's essentially the story between he and Lex Luthor and all of the nefarious things that Luthor does to sort of undermine him. And it's geopolitical so let's start right off. What did you like?
With the good.
The good.
Good. Well, I think James Gunn is tailor-made for these types of fun movies. He's got a visual style that just works so well. I don't know that there's a superhero movie out there that is going to be as visually as fun as this one is. It reminds me a lot of that first sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when they fight the big monster. It's like that, but he upped it times 10 this time. This amp goes to 11. I'm not sure what things he did differently, but the visuals, it's just so fun. Every time there's a fight, I was getting excited, like what new mechanics are we going to see? He has this love affair with music in his films, and I think they play a gigantic part. And it's almost like all his movies after the fact, it's like, okay, what's the soundtrack going to look like? It's going to be a gnarly soundtrack. So it has all of the entertainment stuff working for it, but wrapped inside of that is actually a pretty solid Superman story that I think gets at the heart of what his character is all about. So I think it's going to leave everybody sort of happy for the most part. It's a very good jumping off point for the DCU going forward.
Right. I can see that. I agree with that. We've talked on here, I don't know how many times I've said that the 1978 Superman movie is the greatest comic book movie on any platform. And I think I still feel that way. I love Indian food. And there's something about Indian food, about the tastes of it, that if you're eating Indian food and you have a dish and then you have Indian food and it's another dish, you still know they just sort of have that connective tissue in terms of the spices and the fragrance kind of stuff.
Similar profile.
And I think what Gunn is like Indian food in that respect, because even though this is not Guardians of the Galaxy, there are times where I feel like it's the same Indian food. I'm still eating James Gunn.
It's just a different dish.
Yes, it is. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It's very clear that he has a love for this particular character. In the film, in the preview that we saw, there was an opening thing where he even said, I was born to direct the film that I'm getting ready to show you. So clearly he has that in him. I am, I'm a boomer, and I grew up with the Superman in sort of like the 50s and the 60s that has his own tenor and taste about him And that's not what this film is. This is much more of a 90s to 2000 sort of version of Superman and the mythos. And that's not a bad thing. You're the one that has always told me that yeah, the people that watch Superman or read Superman in the 30s, probably when it got to my version in the 50s and 60s, they would say, that's not my Superman.
Hmm.
The 30s is the version of the Superman. So I need freedom to allow new interpretations of that kind of stuff. And I think he does a good job of that. I think the acting, the Lois Lane and Superman, they're just spectacular kind of
Believable together.
yes, they
He
were.
looks the part of Superman.
With the exception of he needs a
His curls
curl.
too far to the
It
left.
is exactly, and I know I'm picking nits kind of thing.
Right, right.
But no, I thought it was. I agree with you about the music. I agree the set pieces on this, the storyline. I do believe that this is the single greatest Luther that has ever appeared, been put
Says a lot too about that.
either in animated films or in those, because he is despicable.
Hmm.
And I found myself really just, Superman has a code in comic books that he doesn't kill, and there's parts of me just thinking, all you got to do is
Just
just put
kill
your
him.
fist right through his head, his little bald head, and to be over, because he really does a good job of being such a
Yeah,
despicable
he's not a
character.
nice guy.
Yeah, and so I think hats off to was it Nicholas
Nicholas Holt. Yeah.
Holt? I mean, really just a brilliant portrayal of that. And a lot of little side pieces. I didn't think that I want, the whole thing with the Justice Gang and Green Lantern, which was not one of my favorite characters. So going into it, I saw enough of the trailers to think I wouldn't like that. But in the end, I did. I thought it didn't detract from the storyline.
No, I think it helped elevate it at the end and gave him sort of like pals that had his back. I think we talked about this earlier, is that um, a lot of like Marvel movies now feel really soulless, and it's just like, well, even other DC movies like the Justice League, it's a bunch of bright flashing lights and it's all just SFX set pieces. And a lot of this movie is the same thing, but there is a soul to it. There is a love to it. It didn't feel bleak and bland and trite. There was a life to it that has just been missing a lot of, especially superheroes, a movie in the last couple of
I
years.
agree, and yeah, it was really I did. It had a heart to it, and it is that's the world, that's the Superman that I would like in the world, kind of stuff. Because he's truth, justice, the American way. He's not dark. He's not the Dark Knight kind of stuff. Let's talk about Crypto.
What about him?
What do you think?
I like Crypto. They used him as like comedic relief. I said that I think some of his scenes are a little long in the tooth. I wouldn't remove the number of scenes with him in it, but maybe shorten them just a little. But he's a lovable character, and I thought he was a hoot.
Mr. Gunn, I know you're watching this.
Of course,
Before you jump into a Supergirl film or before you're going to do the Justice Gang or whatever, I want a feature length Crypto movie.
Crypto and Howard the Duck together again.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
No,
On the
man.
silver screen.
No, I thought it was delightful. He really did, and it was comic relief in some places. But he's also, you think about it, we have this thing about a boy and his dog, kind of thing, and that connection between Superman and Crypto was clearly he cared about
Yeah,
him,
this
and
post-credit scene,
mhm,
and that was the opening scene.
yes, it was. So I really thought that was well done, and
Despite though it's technically not his dog, it's his cousin's dog.
yeah, but she's off partying on
Yeah, on Red
world
Planets.
plans with red suns
Yeah,
because you can't get drunk in a yellow sun.
which is funny that there's all these little tidbits like that throughout. But
Yeah,
and then yeah, again, shout out to some of the side characters that they cast. I thought I really liked
Mr. Miracle,
Mr. Terrific,
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific, and then well, I don't know the guy's name, but the character that could shift into kryptonite,
Like
Anthony.
element, or matter, or element lad or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he was hysterical. I loved him, and played by Anthony Kerrigan. What a great little character. But yeah, just all the side characters were perfectly cast. Great job.
Music. It does just enough with the classic John Williams score, the Superman theme, but it doesn't. It really, it's almost like jazz. kind of thing, where it's
Yes.
borrowing some of the themes, but it's interweaving it with
Took the
other.
soul of it while
Uh-huh.
updating it into something slightly
Yeah,
new.
didn't overuse it and it didn't feel hackneyed like, okay, you got to do that. It was really just kind of brilliant.
And they didn't get some top 50 star to do a song with it in the middle of the movie, that would
Yeah.
have been wonderful.
Yeah. Sounds to me like we both thought it was a perfect film with
Yep.
not a
The
single
end.
problem at all, nothing to dislike.
The end. Goodbye. Nope. There was bad stuff. Not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. I said there's a mechanic in the film that they use where Mr. Wonderful, which
Mr.
is,
Terrific.
well, no, the other guy was supposed to be Mr. Wonderful as well, or Captain Wonderful, or Mr. Wonder, something like that is what they called him, which is another character unto itself, but that's not who he is in the comic book or in the movie. They just use that moniker, I guess. He's fighting this other superhero that kind of has his number throughout the film. And the idea is that Lex Luthor is using cameras to watch the fight, and then he's relaying attack commands to his brute in the field. And I get what they're trying to do is that he studied all his moves and he knows the moves to defeat him. But the way that they made it work in the movie didn't work for me. I think it would have done better had they not had him out there calling commands. If he had like literally a remote controller, like he's playing a video game, something where it would have been more instantaneous. Because I kept waiting for like, he's shouting out these commands and I'm just like, a
Hmm.
minute later he throws the attack. Superman can't fight that. Superman can't defeat that. It wasn't necessarily, again, it wasn't the idea, it was how they did it in the movie, and I think they just had to do it like that way because it was on the screen.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me, and that was the one that took me out the most of it. There was another one, but I just forgot what it was.
I told you driving back from the theater that I'm weepy. I'm just, I mean, Superman, I cry. I mean, I cried during the first movie and I still cry when I see it. Um this one, you joked around like, bring a hanky, am I going to cry during the movie? The problem is that it's the trailers, and I really think this was the best movie to go into it and not see anything, not know anything at all about it, because there are some scenes in it that are just iconic portrayals of the power and the heart of Superman, that if I had never seen them already several times in the trailers, I probably would have been sitting in the theater in tears.
Hmm.
The fact that that one of the trailers has spotlights crypto. If I didn't know that, and the movie opened and the first real scene in
Have
it
been standing ovation.
was crypto, I would have lost my comic
Yeah,
book mind in that. It's like crypto in a Superman movie, and it was so well done. I thought I really and it's a problem. It's just with trailers to begin with. I just think maybe sometimes it's better to go. I like going into a movie, know nothing at all, not even know what the genre is. Is it horror? Is it action, sci-fi? To know nothing and just be taken away by the performances and the story and stuff. And so that was a little bit of it. It lessened my experience of the film. It felt a little long. Felt
yep,
like it could be
yep.
tightened up just a little bit. And there were certain characters that didn't have a whole lot to do. Perry White virtually had like hardly any lines at all. I mean, he
If it
just didn't.
wasn't for the iconic character that he played, I
Right.
don't think we would have known who he was at
Right.
all.
Mom, Pa, Kent in this don't really have a lot to do, and what they do. I mean, there's one pivotal scene with Pa Kent and Superman that I thought really sort of helped to shape sort of where the story was going. But for the most part, they and it's not bad performances. I think it might have been. Are there things that were on the editing cutting room floor, or they just wasn't written for them? Um, so there really was, I think, in some cases, it was just not enough for certain characters in
Yeah,
it.
I think like they were included because they had to be there, but they didn't really
Right,
give them much to do.
right.
And I think it's a case, especially with Mom Pa Kent, it wasn't that it was a poor casting choice. I think there just might have been a better casting choice out there.
Yeah,
That's the big one.
yeah, yeah. Anything else that sort of
No, I think it's the perfect jumping off point for the DCU going forward. And I think honestly, I think now it's got the ammo in the gun now with this movie and it being sort of the linchpin of DCU. You got to have your Batman and you got to have your Superman. Well, they got a pretty damn good Batman right now that they could incorporate. Now they got their Superman, which they have lacked since 1978's run. this is where they can take over the MCU and it can do one of these things. Because let's just be honest, the MCU has used up all its goodwill. All of the awesome things that they did through the first four phases, they've just continued to hand us garbage and set it on fire and pretend that it's not flaming in our faces. And we're not going to stand for that anymore. And this is the perfect movie to get people on board because it's fun, it's relatable, and I think it's you just watch.
You know, Batman is really much more, he's the antithesis of Superman.
Mhm.
Superman is bright and, and Batman is the darker kind of thing. Does James Gunn have it in him to do a dark superhero film? Could he do a Batman?
No, but he doesn't have to be the one to do it. You know what I mean? Just because he's in charge, I think he's smart enough to know that that might not be his forte to go somewhere else with it. Like I said, Matt Reeves is doing a wonderful job. Why not let him do it?
Yeah.
There are
So
other directors on this planet that can fill that gap if he can't. But I mean, I think, is he possible? Sure. It would be a different flavor of Batman, that's for sure.
do you know what the next movie in the DC canon is going to
I
be?
don't, I know that there's a slate out there, but I just haven't looked at it. It's not what you think. Like, he's got some already going for some deep cuts.
Well, and I have read that there were some things that they've even pulled the plug on that you just, which the whole, and I did read an article that talked about how some movies, how many times movies are begun, but they don't have a finished script,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like when you write something, you write yourself into a corner and you don't know how to get out of it, and so he has been instrumental in pulling the plug on some of those things. Is if you don't have a finished script, you shouldn't be making a movie,
No.
and so that does kind of that gives me hope. But so
Yeah, I agree. That's been the problem of the MCU so far is they just got so many things they wanted to do that they just got it in front of themselves. They put too many foot in front of the other.
so
The verdict,
the verdict.
which you've all been waiting for. I want to know your score.
I definitely need to see it again, and I will see it again.
I'm okay with that.
Um, I liked it better than almost every Marvel movie that I've ever seen. But I'm a DC fan. I still think it is in my world that the 1978 Superman is still superior. It's a totally different tenor, and
It's like
than
comparing different eras in
it's like Indian
sports.
versus Chinese. I mean, they're both good, but they're different.
Well, yeah, it's like different eras in sports. It's how can you really compare and contrast the best player in the
Yeah,
50s versus now?
the visuals and the special effects and all that, and it wasn't one of these things where the visuals were there was a purpose for the visuals in the story. It was really story driven, character driven, as opposed to we've seen tons of movies where it's just like, oh, what can we show that blows up, what can we show
Hmm.
like really amazing special effects, and this wasn't the case. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's really high.
Yeah.
I was going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it does have its deficiencies, but there's it's a film that will entertain above its rating, if that makes sense, because the stuff that it has going for it supersedes its negatives.
Well, I love the character of Superman, and so that's part of it. And you can't see in the camera right now, but I have a Superman costume over there in a glass case that I had, for when I was a child. I have
Hmm.
Superman models, Superboy models. I have 10,000 Silver Age DC comic books in little vault in there.
Hmm.
Um, and so I love the fact that I'm proud for a Superman for it to be his quality, and the kid that played Superman I thought was just did a great job
I really
with
liked him,
it.
and I wasn't
So
sure on the casting choice when they came out with it, but I'm behind it now.
yeah. So if you like DC, you're going to be proud of this movie. If you like Superman, I think you're going to be proud. If you're older like me, this is not the Silver Age '60s and '70s Superman. It is much more of a mindset of 2000 and beyond. But still, there's enough heart and love in this whole thing. Superman is obviously he's a flawed character in this, and they play that up a lot, but it's still he is about truth and justice and wanting to make a difference and wanting to be a good person, and that's really kind of to me that's what Superman's all about. He was light, and I'm all for it.
Yeah,
In some
I
ways,
agree.
Superman is almost like a Christ figure. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kal-El, is God. I
Hmm.
mean, it means God, and
Yes.
so it was written by two Jewish kids in Cleveland, Ohio, and Cleveland is all during this movie. I mean, shot mostly in Cleveland, and that's a Valentine to the city of Cleveland. It really showed some great stuff. So in some ways, Superman is a Christ figure in the whole thing, and as such, he's somebody to be proud of, and I like that about it, and I hope they don't ruin the character, and I hope they don't. You're exactly right that this is a launch pad for DC, and they finally have their chance to
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 do it right.
yeah to cash in.
And shout out to Superman, the real Superman's son is in
Yes,
this.
Christopher Reeve's son plays a reporter, and I had seen something before, and it was just like a snippet of him. No, he does a full
Yeah.
news
Yep.
report.
Got lines and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good friend. Did really well. No, that warmed my heart
Yeah. I
to
was
see
glad
that.
he was in there for sure.
So I want a crypto.
We used to have a crypto.
Yeah, we
You
did.
got rid of him. It's your fault.
Yeah, we did. Anyway, go see it. It's well worth your time. You don't have to spend what he spent to buy the tickets.
No.
But
Yes, go
let us
see
know
it.
what you think.
Hmm.
And we congratulate DC and congratulate the cast and crew, producers, directors, because job well done.
Absolutely. Handing ovation
Yeah. We'll see you.
at the movies.
Kill